Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Velez, and I am the Program Assistant for the Genetic Society of America's Early Career Leadership Program. Today, I'm joined by two members of our Career Development Subcommittee, Shema Kadrinli and Co-Chair Amanda Shaver, who will be sharing their thoughts and experiences with the program. Shema, I'd like to start with you. Can you tell us why you joined the GSA Early Career Leadership Program?
Sure. And so actually my initial motivation to join GSA Early Career Leadership Program was to engage in career development activities and develop leadership skills. And I joined GSA during my first year as a postdoc at Emory University, because during my PhD, unfortunately, I wasn't able to participate in many professional career development activities because I was so focused on completing my thesis and graduating. And I think it's like the case for most fellow PhDs. And however, when I started my postdoctoral appointment in United States, it came to my attention that I need to invest more into my career. And also, if I want to succeed as a scientist and reach my goals, which is to get a faculty appointment in an R1 or R2 university, I really need to invest in my career. So that's why, and like the other thing is, I want to be completely honest in that way. So my CV was missing outreach and professional society activities. So I thought that an established community like GSA would be a perfect place to fill in the gaps of my career and also provide resources to carry my career a step forward. And the other reason that I joined to this program was to expand my professional network. And I think a GSA Early Career Leadership Program is a perfect platform to build a network, since the program here harbors early career scientists from all over the world, and they're all very eager to share their experiences with each other. And after nearly 2 years of service, I say that I made the perfect choice by joining the GSA Early Career Leadership Program, and I'm honored to be a part of this community.
Thank you so much. What has been your favorite project that you've worked on?
So it's a very hard question, like asking a mother to pick her favorite kid. I enjoyed all the projects and activities that I was part of, like from conducting interviews for Decoding live series to attending our book clubs. But I think I must confess, the career development workshop that we organized as part of TAGC 2020 online was my favorite. I really enjoyed how we worked as a team to organize this workshop from scratch and in a very short notice. It was unbelievable. And I think the GSA Early Career Leadership Program really brings the best in people and makes them feel like they're part of something greater. So while we are working for the career development workshop, each member brought their unique skills to the table. So like, for example, some of us had a broader network than the others, so they reach out to their contacts and help us build a panelist team. And like, for example, people who are more engaged with social media worked very hard to advertise our workshop. And like, for example, during the workshop, some of us volunteered to moderate the chat box or to be moderators in the individual breakout rooms. And I must say it was 100% team effort, and we were so happy to host over, I think, 200 participants in the workshop.
That's awesome. And I will mention on behalf of the Career Development Subcommittee that that workshop was so successful that the Career Development Subcommittee has now started Workshop Wednesdays, which is a workshop series that is occurring every month, organized and run by the Career Development Subcommittee, which is very exciting. What has been the most exciting or unexpected experience for you in this program?
So I am going to say the career development workshop again, because like it was really unexpected. Our initial project was to generate a career development resources and present it as a poster format at the TAGC. However, COVID happened and TAGC has been converted into a virtual format. Then I really don't remember how we got the initial idea, but at some point we all found ourselves organizing the workshop. And I'm going to be honest, I really didn't expect that much attention and participation in our workshop. Participants were highly engaged with the panelists, and like there were lots of questions, and we even didn't get to all questions. And I think it really indicated a demand in workshops on career development. So we decided to generate the supply, as Jessica mentioned before. So that Workshop Wednesdays was born. And now we are organizing meetings every first Wednesday of the month to bring much needed career development content to early career scientists. And we had our very first Workshop Wednesday on July 1st, and it was a success, and we will have another one on September. It's about how to be an international scientist. So
That's very exciting.
Here, yeah.
And that's a very requested topic. So I'm sure that we'll have a lot of scientists, especially early career scientists, who appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time, Shema.
You're welcome, and thanks for having us here.
All right, so Amanda, let's move on to you. Thank you again for your time, Shema, and your very thorough answers. So Amanda, why did you join the Early Career Leadership Program?
Yeah, I've always been drawn to opportunities on how to get involved largely in scientific communities, and I feel like I had done a good job at that at my local institution and had really gotten to know people here and had done some networking, but I really wanted to have experience outside of my small institution and just gain larger networking opportunities. And also just, I particularly was interested in the Career Development Committee because I wanted to explore what career options might be a good fit for me. I didn't find those resources at my institution, and I thought that this would be kind of a good neutral place to start and be able to sort of fulfill that need that I was really looking for at that time in my career.
Awesome. What was the interview process like to join the program?
Yeah, so I filled out an application, just kind of shared about like my background as a graduate student and as a scientist, up until that point. And then I had interviewed with the director of the program at the time and just kind of talked about, what my goals were as an individual, both as a person and as a scientist, and kind of were talking about like where I really needed support, talked through, what GSA could offer and provide. And even in the time of our interview and call, we kind of came up with the conclusion that the Career Development Committee would be a good fit for me and really help me gain those skills that I needed, but also that my skills could help kind of uplift others in the program. And so I feel like even in the interview process, it was clear to me that the director was like kind of thinking more broadly about how we could support each other and kind of who would be good puzzle pieces to fit together to make a successful committee. And so it felt a lot more personal, I think, than past interviews I had, just about talking about kind of, and just honestly being transparent about like where downfalls were in my sort of professional development experience up until this time and kind of where I could grow in the program.
Thank you so much for that experience.
Yeah.
What for you has been the most valuable takeaway for your career or for yourself?
Yeah, I think that for a long time, things that I thought they were weaknesses about me as a scientist are really my strengths, but I didn't really realize that until I joined this program. So throughout my time as a scientist, both as a graduate student and a lab manager in an undergrad, I've always been pulled into these roles to help with like project management, to help with sort of organizing ideas, to help facilitate sort of professional development opportunities and things like that. And I had been told in grad school, like, stop wasting your time on these things. Like, these things aren't as important. And so I always thought it was a weakness for me because I was just innately drawn to them. But then I think I started realizing that that's not something that everybody's really drawn to, and that that's really a strength of mine. I think as a scientist and as an individual that I can kind of provide that niche or like fit into like sort of niche in the scientific community. And so I think that being in this program really has helped me start to like untangle pieces of myself that I didn't really understand in order to just kind of figure out the actual career trajectory that I want to be on. And so that's been really helpful that I don't think I would have really figured out otherwise.
Well, thank you both again so much for your time. If any applicants for the Early Career Leadership Program through the Genetic Society of America have questions for Amanda, Shema, or myself, please send an email to engagement@genetics-gsa.org.